Today we are going to talk about spirit pacts, the pros, the cons, and the protocols. Now, I mentioned briefly in passing some basic guidelines for working with spirits, but I want to go more in depth into this. So, I'm going to be sharing the deeper wisdom with patrons in all tiers, because as I mentioned before, I'm going to be giving everybody this week access to all information. I was feeling generous due to the Lionsgate portal and the energies of Jupiter yesterday. So, according to that promise, everything that I post on Patreon is going to be for all patrons and all tiers. Now, I am going to post a shorter, more general version of this information on YouTube after I post it on Patreon, but it's not going to cover the meat. It's going to be basically bare bones, right? But with y'all, I'm going to get into the meat. So we're going to start basic and we're going to work into the deeper shit. Now, I want to say in a general sense that it is my personal opinion, okay? Thus saith the tantric dragoness. I'm not saying that this is like, ironclad, or written in stone or some shit. But for me personally, I feel like nobody should be doing spirit pacts if they don't have their clairs activated. At least 2 clairs is my belief, okay? And if they have not had the foundation for meditation work, cleansing their energy and their space, and protecting their energy and their space. Bare minimum. Okay? I would also like to add that I personally believe that some shadow work should also be done before you attend spirit pacts. Why am I saying this? Because a lot of times, people who have a lot of trauma, a lot of soul fragmentation, can actually become further fragmented by the intensity of energies that they're working with. It's not like the energy currents themselves are trying to fuck you up. I mean, unless you approach them disrespectfully. But in most cases, what happens is people can't handle and process the energy. They can't handle and process the messages. They can't comprehend what's going on because they are starting something before having the basic foundation. So, if you have, and this is no disrespect, okay? But if you have been diagnosed with a mental disorder and you have not done shadow work and trauma healing, and you have not, journeyed into your underworld to do that work, did some inner child healing, shit like that, you don't know how to meditate for longer than 10 minutes without your monkey mind going all over the place, you should not be making spirit pacts. And I'm going to be real here for a second because a lot of y'all are joining traditions and getting initiated and you don't even have the basics down of how to fucking heal yourself, protect your energy, or cleanse your energy. And you're getting sucked into these practices dealing with spirits and shit that you're not equipped to handle. I'm just being real. Okay? So, this is just my opinion, based on my experience working with clients, my personal experience and my personal practice over the years. But I have dealt with a lot of clients that have needed exorcisms because they fucked with shit and didn't know what the fuck they were doing. That is a real thing, guys. And I'm going to say 9 out of 10 times it ain't the spirits that they were trying to work with that end up, possessing them. It's parasites. It's other practitioners fucking with them. It's their own shadow fragments fucking with them. Their own unresolved trauma. Their own schisms within their psyche. Right? So I'm not trying to scare y'all off from doing, spirit work. But I just felt like it was necessary to cover this because I did a post earlier talking about how, hey, I'm going to drop a gem. Like, if you're going to, essentially do rituals for success, work with the energy currents of the planet ruler over the zodiac sign that's in your midhaven. Hey, that's solid. That's solid fucking, science. That is solid astrological science. However, okay, I would say that you can work with that energy just with designated, colors and different herbs and incense without actually invoking a specific spirit if you do not know what the fuck you're doing. And if you, don't have like enough psychic abilities activated, enough clairs, activated to be able to distinguish what type of spirits you're dealing with, because there are imposter spirits out there. And you need to be able to recognize like who this spirit is that's coming into your space. No, I'm not saying that these spirits are one-dimensional. They're not. Okay? But like you should be able to either see, hear, smell, sense, feel. Like you need to know, you need to be able to have enough psychic abilities to know when a spirit has entered your space. How are you going to be invoking shit and you can't even tell what it is? Real talk, guys. Come on. So I just want to talk about this because this is really important. Now, I want to talk about the difference between invocation and evocation real quick. I don't think I've talked about this in depth. All right. So there is a misunderstanding, because we have to go back to the Latin for this shit, right? There's a misunderstanding, and I at one point was taught this wrongly, like back in the day, like when I was in my 20s. I am now about to be 40. But anyway, I was taught that invocation meant you were taking an energy current into yourself. It's not really true. I would say it's more accurate to say you're calling upon an energy to interact with you. Okay? That is an invocation. That is what I do when I am, working with spirits. I don't ask a spirit. I don't call a spirit into my physical body. No. I don't be doing that shit. That's my sovereign energy. But I do call upon a spirit, to enter my space of their own accord, and I present them with offerings and we have a discussion. We have an agreement, or we work together or whatnot. It's based on respect. All right? Evocation is commanding. Okay? How the fuck are you going to command something that you don't even understand? First of all, because a lot of these books, written by these, magicians and these sorcerers and shit, they're telling you that you should be commanding these spirits. You should have mastery over them. Listen, you can't even master the energy currents in your own body, because remember, as above, so below, as within, so without. So we're going with the whole Aleister Crowley thing here. All of these energies exist within you. But you can't even master your own fucking shit, but you're going to try to master and manipulate the exoteric expression of an energy current that's older than you are in this body. Right? Come on. I'm just, seriously. And, I want to say, there are people, there are occultists and stuff coming out kind of blowing the lid off of this, because I'm not trying to disrespect any particular path, okay? Or magical path, right? Because, a lot of people say, well, you can't cherry pick. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Now, when I say you can't cherry pick, for example, when I did the video on Lilith the other day, right? I was talking about as far as, if a spirit stands for something, you can't just, use a spirit to push your own agenda if the spirit isn't participating in that and using the spirit's name. That's what I was talking about. But as far as cherry picking when you're dealing in the occult, the whole point is for you to come up with your own fucking rituals. The whole point is for you to come up with your own system, because everybody's different. Why? Because everybody's tree is different. Their cosmic tree, their shadow tree. We're all different. We're all different beings. So how the fuck are we going to be locked into one particular system? I'm not saying disrespect tradition. I'm not saying violate closed practices. What I'm saying is that if you are self-initiated, DNA initiated, or traditionally initiated, you still have the capacity to create your own system. And you really should, eventually. So, for example, you 100% can use the Goetia seals from the Lesser Key of Solomon without having to command spirits. Okay, like the Testament of Solomon talks about. And to be honest, not all spirits can be commanded anyway. And here's the thing. Why? That's so disrespectful. That would be like somebody calling you up on the phone and being like, get your fucking ass down here right now because I said so and you're gonna fucking mow my lawn. Like, bitch, what the fuck? I'm gonna do what now? And then y'all wonder why you're getting fucked up in the spiritual realm and all this shit is happening to you because you're approaching these spirits disrespectfully. Do not just throw in the garbage all the religious shit you learn about, the spiritual realm as far as like polarities of energies are concerned. If you're going to get into the occult, because you're going to get your ass fucked up. Now that's just talking about like the lesser and greater key of Solomon, okay? Solomonic magic. But even if you're in a tradition like Palo or Santeria or Voodoo, or Ifa, do you talk to the spirits like that? Hell the fuck no, you don't. So why the hell are you going to talk to like, demons and angels like that? Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you're going to make a spirit pact, I recommend developing a relationship with the spirit. That's really what a pact is. Now, yes, can you call on energy currents and, to have them like, can you call on energy currents and draw from energy currents and spell work without like having a pact with them? Yes, you can. But, it depends on the spirit. Because not all spirits are what I call hit it and quit it energy currents. Some of them want, to work with you long term. They want some sort of agreement. But yeah, I mean, I suppose if you wanted to just, I've told spirits, when I start work with the spirit, I'll tell them outright. When I'm meeting them, I'm vetting them out and stuff. Like, just because we're meeting face to face doesn't mean that, we're going to be working together long term, but I'm always respectful. I stand in my authority and my sovereign energy, and I respect their authority and sovereign energy, right? And that's how you develop respect, just like with you're building any kind of relationship in, within the world on earth, in the material realm, same shit, right? So, you have to, that's a basic, right? And so when you're working with these beings, there has to be that level of understanding and respect. And if they don't respect you, first of all, if you don't respect them, they're not going to respect you. And if you're not coming correct, they're not going to respect you. And then you can end up having all the shit that you really want done backfiring in your face or worse. So, yes, you could use an energy current, temporarily, but you still should give offerings and show respect. Okay? Doesn't mean you have to work with them ever again. But at the very least, show respect. Because if these energy currents weren't intelligent and weren't powerful, we wouldn't be fucking drawing on them and calling on them and working with them now, would we? So why are you going to just don't come with that fuck shit, please. And if you do, don't say I didn't tell you so. So that's the basic stuff right there. Now, building a spirit pact. What does that entail? Well, first of all, you need to be able to know for sure that that's the correct spirit that you're working with. Once you've established that, then I would suggest you work with them for a while before you create a pact. See if you like the energy. See if, you guys work well together. See if you can commit. Like, for example, I worked with the spirit the other night. And I was like, listen, and I was very respectful. I chatted with the spirit, like I gave the appropriate offerings. They even told me other stuff that wasn't written down in books that I could give, and they said they would help me, and I was very appreciative, and I was very respectful, and, asked them what I could do in the future, like if I want to work them and stuff like that. But I also was very direct with them, and I said, listen, I've got a lot on my plate right now. I can't be working with any spirit right now on a regular basis. And the spirit respected that. So, like, when you're outlining agreements, like, you have to be honest with yourself and the energy current, what you're willing to do and how invested you're going to be in the connection. So you may have a spirit that you work with once or twice a month on a certain lunar cycle. You may have another spirit that you work with when you do specific types of rituals or specific types of healing modalities. You may have another spirit that you work with where you're given offerings once a week on a certain day or every day, right? Maybe they're helping you with multiple things. Like, you might be the kind of person that, like, a lot of Hecatian witches, like, they'll work with Hecate or Hecate, however you want to pronounce the name, both are technically correct. They'll work with her for everything, because she really is like, she embodies a lot, very primordial energy. So they don't feel the need to work with other spirits, and that's fine. I'm just using that as an example. So you may have like one spirit that is a matron or a patron, or maybe two spirits, one matron, one patron that you work with, or maybe you have a guardian angel or a guardian demon, right? Or maybe you work with one ancestor. It doesn't matter. But the point is that like your relationship with that spirit needs to be based on communication and trust. And it needs to be arranged and totally free of either party to cancel at any time. And if you decide you don't want to work with that spirit permanently anymore, or you want to take a break, you need to communicate with that spirit. Okay? Because you wouldn't, you want them to show up for you, you got to show up for them. Don't be leaving your altar all dusty and shit. Don't be skimping on offerings. Don't be changing shit up. Don't give them shit that you yourself wouldn't want. You know what I mean? And here's another thing. Don't be eating offerings unless that spirit gives you specific permission. Every spirit's different. I'll use Hecate again as an example, because she was, the first being I ever worked with. Okay, she likes it. When her offerings are getting ready to expire, she doesn't like food to get wasted. So she would rather have you give the offering to like the poor, the needy, leave it for dogs or cats, or like give it to kids, or have you eat it yourself before it goes bad, than she would have you just toss it in the garbage, right? And so you either leave it at the crossroads, or, before it expires, or you give it away, or you eat it. She likes that. Other spirits I work with, like say Lilith does not. Okay? And again, this could be different. Like for each person's relationship with the spirit could be different. And that's the thing too. Yes, it's good to start with books when you first start working with the spirit. Make sure you really get to know them and you work for a while before you start coloring outside the lines. But listen, your relationship with them is going to be different. And they may tell you to give different offerings or to work with them in different ways than somebody else. And that's okay, because, it's humans that put limitations on spirits and energy currents, right? At the end of the day, you're going to have a totally different relationship with that spirit than somebody else. So again, just to reiterate, you want to make sure that you have your clairs activated. And if you don't know how to do that, then visit the posts on Patreon that talk about how to activate clairs. Or, if you're not on Patreon, this is for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, then check out my Patreon, because I have that stuff I believe is in every tier. The activating the clairs, because some of the segments I do are in all tiers, and others are very specific to different tiers. That's just how I have it set up. And that way you can tailor things to the best of your ability for what you're focusing on at this time, and you can always upgrade and downgrade as you see fit. So definitely start with activating your clairs. Really protection work and cleansing work and basic meditation needs to come before anything else. And then start to study like your astrological science, so you understand how these things influence. And then start working on your clairs. Start doing some shadow work. Then get into spirit pacts. This is my opinion. Again, I'm not saying it's ironclad. You may feel intuitively to do something a little different. Or maybe you're the kind of person that, like, maybe you activated some clairs and maybe a spirit is coming in to teach you all that shit. Maybe there's going to be a spirit to come in to teach you how to meditate, or teach you how to access the underworld, or teach you how to access the akashic records. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying it's always going to go just like that. But in a general sense, that's often what I tell clients, because you really have to do that basic foundational work before you start getting into this other shit. Okay? And I would also say that if you're going to make a spirit pact, be honest work with the spirit for a while first. You could start with a basic agreement, like, hey, I'd like to get to know you, see if we're a good fit, And I would say also, like, don't always judge the results really quickly, because this is a relationship you're building. But yeah, I mean, if after several months you feel like you're not getting anything out of it, then, be like, hey, thank you for your time and your energy, but, I don't think that this is serving me at this time. Maybe we can work together in the future. So, I'm going to like temporarily just walk away. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe we can work together in the future, but for right now, I'd like to focus my attention elsewhere. Okay? But take time to get to know the spirit. Vet out the spirit, work with the spirit, show respect, get to know their likes and dislikes or personality traits. Let them teach you what they know. Now, I want to talk about different types of energy currents and some things you might want to know. Okay? And this is where I'm going to get into the Patreon only. So, if you're not on Patreon and you want to hear the rest of this message, then you'll be able to find it on Patreon. Maybe in the future I will put it as a video that you can rent or buy on my website. But for right now, I'm going to do the second half of this on Patreon. So you can subscribe to Patreon if you want access to the rest of this message. Because I'm going to go into advice for how to work with different types of energy currents. Okay? The first part was all about general protocols and pros and cons and how-tos of, doing spirit pacts. But this I'm going to go into now about how to work with different specific types of energies as a general rule. So thanks for tuning in, all of my lovely YouTube subscribers. If you're interested in listening to the rest of this message, definitely check out Patreon. You can find the link in the drop-down menu below. There's a lot of information aside from what I'm going to be sharing in this particular post. And I also go into that at the end of every video. So you can check out the outro for that information as well. So thanks again, guys. Thank you for your support. Like, subscribe, share, etc. Take care. Check out my website, thetantricdragoness.com, to book a private akashic reading or any other reading. Also, akashic portraits, consultations, shamanic journeys, starseed charts, primordial dragon fire healing, and much more. You can also subscribe to Patreon to learn how to do a lot of this yourself through various templates I've designed. Activate Diamond Consciousness, Activate the Black Flame, Journey the Underworld, Tantric Healing and BDSM, Astral Projection and Power, Shields, Cloaks, Wards, Learning Light Language, Exclusive and Premier Readings, Soul Fragment Retrieval, Advanced Ancestral Work, Creating Your Own Shamanic Sanctuary, and much more. Thanks for your support, and stay tuned for future videos.